your suggested.
Oh, it suddenly changed to smooth night jazz.
Well, as usual, we're getting started. And wow, blue angry.
Hey, Pico. Don't forget to like the video. Hey, Nikki. Hey, wait, can we get Nikki to just? Because he has restream, right?
Then,
Wala. So we have Nikki, and then suddenly we'll have like 200 viewers.
but it won't leverage his social power if we restream invite him because wala. It's just not.
So we're just in the warm-up setup mode, but we will start officially very soon.
And we're spamming people as quickly as we can. Self-promotion's tough, yo.
Hey, Kenny. Yes, please retweet.
See, look at that. The thumbnail, my eyes are closed. Terrible.
Pausing boys in the band to tune in. Aw, that's so nice, Nikki. So while we're waiting for the official start, as you can probably see, we are wearing Pumping Singing, our Dodong shirts from the briefly available Carlo Vergara's Jazz Zatorna shirt line.
Yep.
Blue is already exploding. Hey, Mitch!
What a description, but it is blue.
And then Mai is here. He just said, Dodong! Oh my god, yo, kabaduyats. No. And then we have, hey, George Thomas Stevenson. Nice of you to join us.
Oh, wow. Oh my gosh. This is the first time. Hi. He's all the way in South Africa? Am I remembering right?
Well, I guess there's no reason to officially start since we have people ready and it's 9:05.
Yeah, because we were late.
So, this is Toby.
And this is Rocky.
And if it's your first time here, welcome to Baduy Pride, our little space on the internet where we talk about anything we want.
This is completely unscripted and not entirely accurate, but at least it's honest. Join us. We talk about everything and anything random live.
And if it's not your first time here, thank you so much for joining us again. As you probably have noticed, we try to have an episode every night at 9 p.m. And tonight, for 30 minutes, most likely more, we will be talking about
Friday nights are long. No, so we're talking about our experiences with local queer spaces. But to be fair, I should dig up the original wording of this question.
Mm-hmm.
This is a suggested topic by Kenny, and his original wording was where is that? No. It was gay bars, drag queens, and local drag show culture. So we thought we kind of expand on that a bit more and kind of just talk about sort of the scene as a whole.
Yes.
I am annoyed by my glasses. One moment.
We realized that we won't really be able to do justice to the topic if we talk about the local scene alone, because a lot of our feelings about the local scene have been in many ways shaped / triggered by what we've seen elsewhere.
Yeah. So basically speaking, that you best appreciate what you have at home if you also have a chance to see what other people are doing in other countries. So this is gonna be slightly compare and contrast, and just to celebrate the differences. But it's still largely just a personal history retelling, sharing. And if you have questions, of course, throw them our way. We got a whole bunch of people over on YouTube, and I thank you all for joining. I see we have Jay is also joined. Of course, you have Pico, you have Kenny. Mai is there. Mitch is currently on Facebook, but may move to YouTube depending on things are going. Yeah. So where do we want to start? Because admittedly, our timelines are different.
Yeah, and I think we have to start with a disclaimer. This is again
Hey,
in
Karen.
this is again in no way an episode that seeks to be an expert or the only voice regarding the local drag scene or anything like that.
Of course.
We speak only from our experience, and we do not intend to judge everyone else, even if we sound like we will. um, so yeah.
I love him, but do you believe him? I don't know. So, but yeah, we can only speak from our context, and admittedly, especially in recent years, I mean, friends all know we only really go to one place. So, how do I want you to start because I admittedly, does your story really begin at Obar already, or are there other queer space type experiences you can talk about before we get there?
Well, there are the unofficial queer spaces that I was part of when I was younger. And I speak of it that way because they were not gay bars. They were not gay friendly bars. But they were spaces where straight people would freak out.
Okay.
And one of them would be, during my younger years, I was active in the rave circuit. And back then in the Philippines, the rave groups that were holding events.
I don't know what I'm doing. I never attended a rave.
we're pretty much really underground, and we're spread by word of mouth. We would hold events in the metro. We would get a venue. We would set it up, and then by word of mouth, we would spread news that we would be having a party there. And then people would show up by evening. We would be celebrating, and come dawn, we are gone. And
it's so weird. It's like a guerrilla party. It's an ambush event, you know.
It celebrated what we call plur, which was peace, love, unity, and respect. It was very counterculture. We didn't really care about the big discos.
You have to say that again.
Clubs.
You have to say that acronym again for everyone.
No, and it was a time of wearing those weird outfits that had spiky clothes, that had dog chains and and collars. Yes, Kenny, I was in some ways a raver back then. I had my share of neon clothing, of leathery vests, of dancing alone as if I didn't care about the world, of doing tarot card readings on the corner, and inhaling a lot of secondhand stuff. But then a lot of it as well, for me, growing up back then with no clear gay role models, was about discovering myself. And it was an environment where a lot of people were just sexually fluid. You had friends who identified as straight, and as far as they were concerned were straight, but during these parties they didn't care. They were open to kissing anyone. They were open to dancing in any way.
So I feel like it's a similar subculture that eventually evolved into the TXF type crowd in Cubao X, those kinds of people,
which is
more bohemian.
Which is, I guess, why I like the movie Short Bus, because I sort of saw glimpses of my past in that movie. But yeah, so there was
credit. Short Bus is a good movie.
It is. So there was that, and then there were the circles that I used to hang out with during my college years, because we were active in the theater groups and in the creative writing groups. So we practically transformed any place we hung out into a local queer scene.
I have a side question in all this. Were you already playing Vampire at this time?
Yes. And it was even the only game I was really playing. I mean, no, I was still playing Dungeons and Dragons and all that, but Vampire was the game. And for smart, sleuthy viewers out there who search the internet, you might find the pictures of me in vampire drag if you know where to look.
Yeah, still be LARPed. Still be LARPed in public, and not just at houses. There were public LARPs.
Yes.
So, wow. Little thing, of course. Blue is yes, Cubao X a culture on its own. That's true. But I feel like it is the spin-off of the original Malate culture, the artsy side that moved away.
Yes.
Nick's I feel like I missed out a lot, and I never got into rave culture. As much as I'm a clubber, I would have loved to go. Also Short Bus Heart. And then, Kenny, Miss Grill type of party. I think Western style house party died down around 2005-ish.
Yeah, and a lot of it got complicated because, of course, with the party scene, you of course had people who were into the drug scene, and then you of course had people who were into the sex party scene, and those all had their little cliques, and that of course had their own dramas. So yeah, um, beyond that, it was pretty much just straight drinking clubs like Paddy's Point
No.
and the like cable car and
This is when we remind everyone Toby's bi. So
what was that Hard Rock Cafe?
he had like an EU passport, you know.
What
He
are
could go
those?
around.
Admittedly, I preferred to drink at home. I preferred to drink in friends' homes, or we would go.
That sounds strange. I prefer to drink with
Yeah,
friends.
or we would go out of town, literally to go drinking,
Hmm.
and we would go out of town, spend the whole weekend drinking and swimming and everything in between. Folding clothes optional, and afterwards we
See, you're reinforcing. Don't encourage them. Don't corrupt the beauty of the chores I love. Okay.
would. So yeah, so you.
My life starts in a very well. 2003 was a tumultuous year for me
Mhm.
because I stopped going to school and
Mhm.
then I left home. And that's a story that I don't know that'll ever come an episode.
Mhm.
But basically speaking, that I eventually ended up with my partner at the time,
Mhm.
and he brought me to Malate for the very first time. And so, what was it about it then? And at this point, this is like you got to put into context. This is when everyone and their dog was pirating Queer as Folk, the U.S. version.
Mhm.
So by then, I had seen a few episodes, and then by then, like you kind of in your head romanticize that there is a gay scene, a club scene
Mhm.
like this. Everybody wants to go to Babylon, of some sort, and then the descriptions and stories they'd have of Malate at the time was like, okay, that sounds sort of like it, and it's a space where we can be safe and all that.
Mhm.
So this is me free recently having left home, and then we go out for the first time. By then, it was already bed, and I think it was like the official launch party. Or it was an event that night. There was a
Mhm.
red party for that night, and so we went to the original bed, and this was like, um, you could say it was officially twice as big as the original Malate O Bar, only because it had a second floor, and it was a crazy, crazy night. Very emotional given my life at the time, but I super enjoyed it, and I enjoyed the family that we formed in terms of the circle of friends we
Mhm.
were with, and that sort of defined uh, the club scene for me. And many a weekend was spent at Malate, always going to bed,
Mhm.
and it was not a bad thing. I super had fun. I learned that I didn't give a shit what people thought, and I would just dance. Um, and you end up learning the lyrics to the different songs that were anthems at the time.
Mhm.
So to this day, I don't fully understand how through osmosis picked up the lyrics of Dove by Mooney, which is still like super like, oh my god, that's a Malata song.
Mhm.
And that was my situation for at least the 7, 8 years we were together.
Mhm.
Was regular weekends at bed, and bed expanded over time and ate up the adjoining things. It first consumed, I think, New York Cafe, and then later it consumed. It could, well, at least New York Cafe, and then later what was oh my god, was temporarily Club Mafia.
Mhm.
We have to talk about Club Mafia. Okay, I know that I had friends who were involved, and they had acquired the space beside, which, oh my god, for the life of me, I can't remember. It wasn't Pride Exchange. Pride Exchange was the store
Mhm.
with the magazines and the tapes and stuff. But because it was like Bed, and then New York Cafe, and then something else. I can't remember what it was.
Blue. I'm sure you know Blue.
Probably. Anyway, for a while, it became like Club Mafia Manila, and at the time, I was very like active in my blogging, and I wrote about um, our first night there and how the drinks weren't great, and then the music was like okay, but without heart, and I didn't know what it wanted to do, but we went there to support. It was like we went there to for an hour or so to support and get and whatever, and then we moved over to bed after. So that was weird. The next time we went, because we're still trying to support friends, and we would go there first before going to bed, and then they're like, "Oh, we read your blog.
Here
Oh
comes
my
the
god.
punchline. Hey, come on, you have to say the punchline. We read your blog.
And we heard that you hadn't really gotten to try our drinks. So they started passing me different cocktails for the night. And then it was funny because then I would like, oh, take a sip, and then like hey you, I think you'd like this one, and I was passing drinks to everyone, and it was like different drinks, which were like okay, but some were good, some were like not so. But yeah, so I we got wined and dined for the night, but we still went to bed after. um, but yeah, so that was like my large club scene, and I had never gone into O by the time that O was around.
Mhm.
Despite the fact that I had probably encountered many of the owners of O Bar when they were still hanging out at bed, because
Mhm.
everybody was on the stairs
That's
at bed, and like that's how you'd see people and all that stuff. But yeah, so let's go back to Toby. Oh my god, Dave's like drunk Rocky. What? No, I'm not drunk. I'm drinking red iced tea without sugar.
so. Yeah. I didn't really rejoin the gay scene in the sense until there was that fateful invitation from my then ex-boyfriend slash best friend whom I had not seen for almost 10 years. Um, Showed up for his birthday. His other friends didn't show up. So I wanted him to still feel happy, and I told him we can go anywhere because I had a car, and he pointed across the street to Obar. And
Was that Gilligan's? Was it Gilligan's next door? I can't remember. What was the restaurant?
yeah, I think it was Gilligan's,
Yeah.
unless I'm misremembering. Yeah. And then, yeah, so went there, saw the drag shows, loved it. Um, didn't really know where to go at that time because, as far as I'm concerned, okay, this is interesting. This is not what I was expecting. Um, and then from that point on, decided to start going more often. And so we had our time going to Obar a lot. We we were there for the point in time they had to temporarily close for renovations. And then, of course, during this time, as I started to get more friends and get to meet people, I started checking out the other places. There was the regrettable attempt to visit Chalu. There was the there was the habit forming hangout first at Cinders while waiting for some people before we hit Obar, or going there to tell people, "Hey, we're already here." And then there was, of course, the eventual breakfasts in the morning
Mm.
outside. Oh my God, Celia at at the place called Celia. There were also those rare few trips to other places in the Malate area. Of course, there's one. I keep thinking it's a church name. I can't remember what it's called.
What?
There's a place that had
A church?
cathedral or church or something. I can't remember. But I know it's because some friends hung out there, or some friends performed there, or some friends used to go there.
This is not the library.
I don't think it's library. I remember something else. But I could be wrong because it's a name, and you know how I am with names. And then, of course, there are the older places like the piggy one,
What the hell?
Le Piggy or something, or some, I don't know, the ones near the circle. And yeah, I basically was kaladkarin for a lot of the times.
Plus, you had a car.
Yeah, I remember there were those few occasions, for example, where some friends like Grace would be like, "Toby, go with me," and then we end up going somewhere, and then we're there, we have a few drinks, and then okay, let's go back to the bar, and then we go back, and it's stuff like that. And I guess for me, ultimately, Obar was really the only place that connected.
Mm.
And
Okay.
yeah, and that kind of shaped why the experience was there for me.
Okay, and this whole time we never encountered each other.
Mhm.
Totally no contact. It's just like ships passing in the night. Plus, I only went to bed. Um, oh, I have to highlight a few other things. One, white parties. So the first big white parties were around Pride weekend. So I was indoctrinated very early that the last weekend of June is Pride,
Mhm.
even though the Pride March was in December. And then there were big events. They would close off the streets for a street party, and then that's when I first like, oh my god, I think I had like a tequila ice drop candy thing. It was terrible. The alcohol should not be made into a frozen dessert. But there was that. I didn't make it to the likes of mint and stuff. People talk about these, and I never went. But we also went to government. I forgot. I had to. We mostly went
Oh
to bed.
yes, government in Makati, right?
Yes, and there's
Yes,
like, oh
yes.
my God, there's a gay bar on Makati, and
Yeah.
government will most remind you of what it was because Makati had stricter smoking laws, so you only could smoke in the one
Yes.
smoking room.
In that aquarium like place. Yeah, I
I
remember.
didn't. I don't smoke. I still don't. I never did. But my partner did, and all our friends did. So if I wanted to join the conversation, I had to go with them into the smoking area. And just entering felt like I smoked a pack of cigarettes.
Yes,
And then I would come out smelling like 10 packs of cigarettes.
for those who might be wondering what that might have felt like, if you've ever been to the smoking areas in airports
Yeah,
Yeah.
but more people and
Yeah.
darker.
and less clothes.
Government was so much harder for us to go to because I lived in Pasay or
Mhm.
at some point Makati, but it was like so much effort to go. But I super miss the big circuit white party stuff. That was like then it really felt like, oh my God, I'm living my queer as folk
Mm.
life dream. Yeah. It's like I think there are other spaces we went to around the time. I think that was like that defines like the Malate area with the extension to government. So we'd make some effort to go to government, but we'd kind of always end up at bed,
Mhm.
which was so much effort. And oh my God,
So,
taking cabs all the time.
real quick check on comments.
There are many comments.
Yes, we have Pico. I can relate with drinking outside bars like an apartment or hotel, and we play Uno, Staffo, Uno cards, exploding kittens.
I
etc.
admire you playing Uno Staffo in a public space.
Yes. I also experienced a time when I drink with an office mate because she's sad and depressed. That's a very common
Hmm.
thread wherein we take out some sad
Person and get them drunk.
Well, usually a female office mate or a
Oh,
female
I didn't
friend.
really have girlfriends.
I know a few girlfriends who they weren't necessarily the super close friends I had, but they needed a safe place to go to where they can just let their emotions out. So I usually brought them with me to Obar. Kenny mentions late bloomer, haven't had these experiences yet.
It's okay. We'll catch up. 2021 is shaping up to be the year of catching up.
Kenny adds, you should tell us what a white party is.
Good grief! Color parties! Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, education moment. Okay. So, white parties kind of just became the thing because, at its most basic, you wear white. Okay? And I hate it when I have people when I say, hey, it's the white party, and the first question is, do I have to wear white?
Mhm.
Okay, that's the recommended color, and particularly the white party would coincide with the Stonewall celebrations in June.
Mhm.
Halloween was the black party because
Yes.
it's Halloween. Then you generally wear black.
And
for
it
these
felt
things.
thematically appropriate to have the two as the two main events, the white and the black party.
Yeah, and
This
then
has nothing to do with race.
and then clubs would have sort of their own anniversary events. So
Yes.
bed would have red parties on their anniversaries. Everybody wears red. So it was a thing. Toby, okay. And then I just realized because if your habit was Celia, ours was further away. We go all the way to Hapchan.
hmm
We would walk to Hapchan.
And
for
I know,
morning.
and I know there are groups that go all the way to sex.
Yeah, Blue mentioned it in the
Mhm.
comments earlier, going to sex on TAF. Kenny's like, I thought it had something to do with the hanky code. Okay, the hanky code is older than I was going out.
And the hanky code was not the reason for the colors in the parties.
Yeah,
They were just a color coded
messaging system.
artifact of our history, wherein when people wanted to cruise but they couldn't really say
But I feel hanky codes were
Stop.
more Western
yes,
than here.
it was very Western. In the Philippines, it wasn't much there.
Okay. Pico went to the white party in Sydney wearing pink. That's awesome. But yeah, I mean, just try to respect the colors, man.
Mhm.
That's my thing. Me being a cranky old man. Okay. So, did we talk about O already? Because that was going to be the big story. Or let's tour the world. Let's talk about other places we've been to before we get there. Because to be fair, some of it happened before we got there.
Well, you can mention a few other places you went to.
Oh my
That
god.
the other local places you went to. back when you were getting to know more the
Pause.
Yeah.
Nikki is asking what are hanky codes.
Okay, Nikki, hanky
What
code.
is this education portion? Oh my gosh.
Okay, there was a point in time in Western fashion when having a hanky or a scarf was part of your standard outfit.
I'm running out of my keto iced tea, guys.
Just as how in the 80s, the need for bangles and the like was important, there was this era in time when if you didn't have a scarf or if you didn't have a hanky, you're not cool. You're not fashionable.
I always had a hanky, but it was white and folded into a square.
Now
and was there to wipe my
Now,
sweat.
the hanky code was used as a means of communication for cruising back then in the West, wherein you could wear a specific hanky, a specific color, or a specific pattern, and which pocket you place it
Pocket placement is important.
already announces to those in your vicinity what you're into, what you're game for, what you're looking for. Which, yes,
There is a Wikipedia article that documents the hanky codes.
And yes, it has also led to people having mistaken moments of, oh, I thought you were into that because you had that hanky. And that normally happens.
Oh my god! I still wear my keys on a carabiner, and then my friend from Seattle, when he came over he was there for Pride that weekend, and then he joked because he grabbed me by my keys, and then he's like, "So I guess we're going to your place." It's like, oh really?
That's what it means.
Because even key placement can be a thing. So
In the rave scene, it wasn't much of that. But if you had any suspenders, chains, extra belts, anything that's a strap-like thing, people will have fun with you. So that is in brief the hanky code. And
Other questions from the class before we resume?
yeah, but going back, you did explore other places. Because there was a point in time when you were also taking part in a lot of local activities, and there were a lot of events. I can't remember the name of the group.
What are you talking about?
This was during our separation, where you were attending different events and doing different.
Oh,
activities.
okay, wait. Yeah, but that was with Love Yourself.
Yes, there you go. I was trying to.
But that wasn't really like scene. Those were like Love Yourself.
Because there was the theater thing and there were a few activities. You don't remember?
I don't know about theater. They were just mostly like team building stuff and and a karaoke night. So that wasn't big scene stuff. And then I think more interesting when we started to compare and contrast in 2007, I had a US trip. Oh, crap, was it 2008? 2007. I had a US trip, and then I was determined to explore West Hollywood. And so 2007 Rocky, my main context is just O-Bar. Just bed. So I didn't have anything else to compare it to. And then I did my research, and then I went to Rage, which is a dance club. Cool. I remember most of the songs only because the first quirk about the bars there was like, I feel like the licensing of music was very important. So every song they played had an accompanying music video, and then in the night, I felt like they only had 20 songs to play.
So they started rotating.
Super rotating.
Over and over.
I saw the rotation like a few times, and then it was okay. My best memory from that is that I go up to the bartender and like I could you recommend a drink? I don't know. I like stuff that are sweet and strong. And then he plops down this very pink, bright red drink, and then I'm like, oh, so what's this? It's like it's my own concoction. I call it a big dick, and like, oh, well, of course I take a sip and must automatically respond. Oh, your big dick tastes great. I think I like your big dick. So the drink. So it was okay. I went alone. Which just, I think I had a tweet along those lines of, if you really want to go, just go. Stop waiting for friends. And I was in another country and I just went. And I generally had a good time. Rude awakening at 2 a.m. when the bar closed and the lights come on and like, what? And I'm used to going home at 4 or 5 in the morning. So I wasn't ready for last call at like 1:30. And then LA at night is very chilly, and I had to walk to the bus station, and I felt so miserable going home at 2 a.m. alone. So
We have
yeah.
some comments. Kenny asks if your tea is spiked.
Only with keto appropriate stuff.
RJ asks,
Are you married? Technically no, because there is no marriage in this country.
No.
There's no point in getting married in another country because we'll come back here and still not be married.
it
So
won't be recognized.
Yeah.
But I wish we could, not just for the act of getting married, but because there are legal ramifications and securities that happen when you're married. I mean, I would like to be comforted by the thought that if anything happened to me, Rocky would have all the rights and responsibilities to make decisions regarding me if I were not able to do so. And it's stuff like that that we would like to have.
where you just yell, "You want to come home, G?"
Well, that's assuming you can still talk, Blue.
Oof. But then I feel
There's a lot of times it's just
I don't think Toby, I don't think we've ever really I know I've never and in across my bar life I've never brought anyone home because I've always gone to bars while I had a partner. So I've never brought anyone home from a bar. That's a weird aside. But yeah, so my LA, I explored a few other places in West Hollywood, but I mostly went to Rage because I had figured it out the first time I went, and then that was it. And then there were weird nights, like I saw one of the managers at work there, and we didn't talk about it, and all these things. But it was okay, but it was really just a dance place. And then, yeah, the repeating music was weird. I think every night I went there, over the span of the 1 or 2 months I was in the US, it was the same set list.
I think it's like that because some places really do follow the, they have to pay for the music they'll play. So they really only have a small selection of music they play. I remember there's a certain local bar that seemed to be doing that as well, which we used to see on our way to Obar. But yeah, I've gone to West Hollywood myself. I've been there twice so far. Well, thrice if I count the fact that I had to rush back in one of the trips because I lost my passport.
And again, notice we still haven't gone together. It's like we went at separate times.
Yeah, unfortunately, that was a separate trip because we still haven't been able to travel to the States together. It was interesting. That was fast.
It's our first 30 minutes.
Yeah, I liked how the bars in the States were much bigger. There was a certain joy in.
There is that. Rage is huge.
Yeah, there's that joy and excitement in actually going in and suddenly discovering, whoa, I can go around here. You end up wondering if there are like themed rooms, but no, sadly, no, they don't. I found it weird though.
The only room I saw there was the Coke room. And they charge $4 to hold my jacket.
Everything is so expensive. Everything is like just super expensive. The drinks are so watered down despite their price, and the bathroom lines are horrendous. And then there's people expecting tips when you get in, which I don't.
I didn't see that. Okay, I didn't have that.
But yeah, but that's the States, and still, it's an experience worth going. So there was that. I think it was Mustang that had the Western feel.
Oh yeah, I didn't go into that one.
Where the ground level had your prerequisite race tables where the guys would be standing atop and dancing, and then there'd be all these ropes where they could clamber up and swing around.
And I didn't go to any clubs that had like live entertainment. I just went to dance clubs, so I didn't get to see any like drag queens or dancers like that. So
yeah, there were drag queens in the other one I went to, but I wasn't engaged. I guess it just didn't feel like a show the way I've been spoiled.
By then he's already Obar snooty. So.
Yeah.
So let's come back home and let's talk about it.
But yeah, so that was West Hollywood for me. I still enjoyed going. I wouldn't mind going again, but I do find myself happy to just nurse a drink because I don't see myself spending so much money for just beer.
I spent a lot on big dicks,
and it's not even the beer I like. Yeah. So that was States.
That was So US is like, I think there's a lot of regulations around it. I mean, I'm sure there's more to enjoy. Maybe if we had local guides in our own experiences, maybe it'll be different. So coming back home, so Toby's already been going to O, and then we finally start going out, and he starts bringing me to O. The first, yeah, our second time hanging out together, he brings me to O. Although we went like late
Yes.
because we came from a party, and then we came
Yes.
like it was like morning
It was pretty much near closing. We were just outside hanging out with friends who were there, and your then boyfriend was also coming back
from
from
bed.
bed. So it was awkward in its own way, but it was fine. Yeah, and I think I remember that's when a friend lost a shirt.
What?
Yeah, one of my friends then was complaining he lost a shirt or something, and
I don't remember this.
Yeah,
So, Obar was a bit of a shock for me, I think, at first. Well, I mean, to be fair, by then, bed was already fairly big. So it's like, we're going back to a small bar. And I'm like, I don't want to go into a small bar.
that's true.
And then the drag was so up close and personal. Because I think by that time, bed had already like brought in drag performances. But then it was just like a weird little like thing in the middle of the night. It was not a main feature.
Yes.
But then given the original Obar Malate, then the stage is like, there's a riser right in front of you. You could touch the drag queens.
And then there were multiple numbers throughout the night.
Yeah, so that was surprising. So and I know at first I was worrying in my head, like, I don't know if I like this or not. Admittedly, I was like, because especially they were doing some of theater songs, but then it was like Karen doing theater songs and
Campy attempts.
campy, candles were involved, strange sexual accoutrement. I don't know. So it was like it was a bit of a culture shock for me. But I grew to love it and grew to appreciate the campiness of it and what they were doing. And then the fact that, oh my God, it's so much work. It's so much work. And yeah, and of course, Toby and I were busy making googly eyes at each other the whole time because it was the only way we were hanging out. So I'm sure there's a lot of emotional mix up there on these things. Comment Blue has this whole thing about he thought that was him, lost the shirt at Obar. I'm sure this has happened more than once to you, Blue. And then he goes because shirt is on the legs. Someone took a shirt when I was done. Shirt was gone. And then goes Lente Buffody.
We have a message from Art Sam Lee. A lot of hashtags. So hashtag Obar,
Malate,
hashtag Malate, ala bonding factor, Rosa na feel.
Wow. So yeah. So a lot of our early weekends, then Toby and I would bring me to O after we recorded the other web show.
Yeah, we used to do a web show during the weekends all the way in Cubao.
Sundays.
And then after those shows, we would head all the way back and enjoy some drinks. It was a lot of dancing despite the confined spaces. It was a lot of familiar faces saying hello, even people we don't sometimes remember. It was a lot of staff just, happy to see us again and making sure we have our spot. Even to the point of sometimes reminding certain people, you're not supposed to sit there because that's where they sit. And it was
yeah, Toby had all these rules, like, oh, this is the table, but then like you gotta like ask permission for this and that and introduce yourself. But I guess biggest difference for me though is like I wasn't used to knowing the waiters, and I feel very bad for that. In the 7+ years I was going to bed, I never knew any of my waiters. I just look for whoever's in a hard hat or whatever theme
and order
thing and order and not care. And then settle drinks real time. I never had a tab. I never had a tab. So Obar was this very, very different experience. And it was very warm and very inviting. And I appreciated that. Of course, they always made fun of the fact that I mostly went to bed. So they still do. They still do. But hey, no one's perfect. So.
It's part of the fun. So yeah, admittedly, Obar was generally the only focal point for a lot of time. And then we realized eventually that we had to at least try to expand. So there was that one terrible,
oh my gosh,
hilarious and traumatic trip.
Context. I won a free 2-night stay at a company event at like the Holiday Inn at Clark, Pampanga. So we went. And then we figured, let's explore the local entertainment.
Because this place is supposedly it's alive. It's got a
It has its own weird queer scene.
yeah, so it should be worth exploring.
So we went into this place that was definitely a more traditional definition of a gay bar, as in the very recessed, curvy couches.
Yes,
The very dark atmosphere. The
The-
feeling that what am I sitting on?
the mamasan who meets you.
Oh yes.
And once you are seated, make sure someone sits with you. Even if you're like, no, we're fine. No. Entertain you, and then the guy's just there.
And we're like officially like, are we agreeing to anything? Or we're not
Yeah.
agreeing to anything.
And then, literally, red light.
Oh,
for-
red light in our faces.
Yeah, for I don't remember how long it was, but it was just all a red light until the show finally started.
And first it was a very comedy bar show, and of course they spot the not locals, and then like,
Mhm.
hey sir, where are you from? And all that.
Make fun of your accent.
Yes, what do you do?
They
And
talk about what you're wearing. Stuff I hate.
it was a night we had ordered a number of beers, and then oh crap, now we have to finish the beers before we get out of here.
The numbers were still in sets. The performers were progressively wearing less and less. Their dance motions never changed.
Regardless of song or tempo or costume.
And then you had your staples, everything from "Please Forgive Me" to
Oh yeah, it's
Bon
like super
Jovi's
weird
Bon Jovi's
Sunday
selection of
straight
songs.
stuff.
Everyone seemed to remember they had to flex while dancing.
And it was very difficult, like slow, because you're trying to stay in a flex in no matter what you do. So
Mhm.
I think that's what defines a lot of what we call macho dancing. And it was just bizarre.
And then I guess their outfits were supposed to celebrate their bulges. Note I said I guess.
I think it just celebrated. We could see they were padding,
Mhm.
or things like that.
Or very generously tying stuff up.
So, long story short, as we finished our drinks very quickly and only finished, I think, one set of the guys. And then we were out and like, oh, we gotta catch the shuttle back to the hotel. Bye! And, which was kind of true. We
Mhm.
timed it for the last shuttle. So we weren't out that late.
Yes.
But then it was really like, oh my God, I want to go back to Obar. I don't want to go home.
This was a mistake.
There was another time we didn't really get to go during like the club hours, but
Mhm.
we did get to go to Future for a friend's art exhibition.
Yes.
So we were there early in the evening. So we finally got to explore the space. I was tempted to buy a Starfleet Academy manual that was on the bookshelf, which was like an odd find.
And we mostly drank outside.
No, we were inside.
Wait, I'm trying to remember. Oh, I think
You're
I'm
thinking
mixing-
Cobalt X.
Yes, I'm mixing it with Cobalt X.
No, this is already
I don't think I was
the
in,
last.
I don't think I was in Future. I think that was just you.
No, you went with me because you remember the art thing, and then he gave us his piece. Do you remember?
I remember.
It was a weeknight.
I remember the art thing. I don't remember going in.
We did because you went with me because we were in Cubao. It was down the street. That was the one time we went to Future, and we were living in Cubao for so long.
Okay. Now I remember.
But we didn't go on a
Yes.
club night.
Yes, now I
Like
remember.
it was like a
I
Tuesday.
think we
or
stayed near
something.
the staircase or something.
There is no. We wouldn't. Well, we stayed near the bar. We stayed at the end, and it was like all this old furniture. And
Yes,
like why is
yes,
there
yes.
why is there this? Why is there that?
Okay, that's
So
what I
we
was
didn't get the full Future experience.
Yes.
But then, since we always see that whenever people show us pictures of Future, they're on the street
thinking. Or the bathroom.
then it really didn't appeal to us. I mean, and this is already like, I'm older. I want my table. I want to sit down. I want the waiters to know who I am. So we never really went, and I apologize
Yeah.
because I feel sad that Future is gone.
I
So-
admit that for me, I just didn't feel it was a queer space, as odd as that might sound for many of you who are fans of the place. I guess for me, it just felt more like a bohemian space
yeah.
than a queer
Yeah.
space for me. And
Nikki's like, was this the new Future? Yeah, it was the last Future
Yeah.
location.
it made me think of old Malate. more, then it made me think of Gay Malate.
Oh my God, never got to talk about Penguin. Anyway, yeah, but yeah, so it was a different thing. Very strange. Kept going back to Obar. I think we have to touch briefly. Oh my God, running out of time. We have to touch briefly on the incarnations of Obar. So there was the original Malate, which we made the trek to. There was the second floor of Malate,
Mm-hmm.
which was insane because suddenly, what is this like
It was like a
pseudo
private
VIP
party
area?
which is fun. But anyone can. Well, I think anyone. No, I don't think anyone is allowed to go out. I think we just happen to be among those who were allowed to go out. I don't remember.
It was a great place to rest between drag sets, and then after that, you have to go down and
Mhm.
like make your way through. And then we spent like a lot good like white parties and Halloweens in the upstairs area.
And it was one of the walls where our friends tend to show up.
Yeah, they actually started like featuring patrons. That's
That was
awesome.
nice.
We weren't there yet. Okay. Then Ortigas, the first Ortigas happened, and it was like, what are they doing?
That's the second
Why?
floor. Yeah, that was the second floor, which used to double as the boxing area.
No, it was like beside the Alorde.
I learned beside.
And there was like a shooting range pa. So it's like, what is this area? But then we lived in Cubao, so it made sense to go. So we wanted to support. So Toby would go during the week,
Mhm.
and he'd be one of the few customers at the
Yeah.
bar the whole night.
At that time, most people didn't know it existed. So a lot of us regulars were going just to support the place and make sure that it felt okay, because you had the performers, of course, who would still perform, and it would be sad if they had no one to perform to. Eventually, it started to get so crowded that I remember there were people lined up outside and they weren't allowed in just because there weren't any.
Yeah, the bar had somehow hit capacity.
Mhm.
We I know I celebrate when it was either my birthday or your birthday, or one of our birthdays. Like we celebrate Ortigas. That happened. That
Yeah.
people couldn't get in.
There was a birthday of mine that had that, and that was the same birthday where one of our friends lost a bag
Oh yeah,
because
sad.
we were just all too smashed to really pay attention to things anymore, and we were drinking with people we didn't know.
Oh my God! Then blue highlights, and the bathroom was far away. In that
Yes.
other way, yes, because it was a weird public bathroom for the whole area,
Mhm.
and then they would turn off the lights, and so you're really walking down this hallway.
Mhm.
Tell me bathroom stories.
Oh my god, are we really going there?
Bathroom stories. Bathroom stories.
So I was a good boy, so I never really went to the bathroom. No.
Toby would go out because I still worked nights. So Toby had already been in the habit of going to Obar Malate every night.
Yes.
So he would still go out when I was at work, and then he would text me the songs that were playing, what the drag queens were doing. Basically, I did a running commentary of the night via text. Bathroom stories.
So, I also unfortunately had the habit of having the weirdest encounters in the restroom. The restroom was this, it was an adequate space. It had 2 urinals, if I remember correctly, not 3.
You're
It was
thinking of
two-
the Malate one first.
Yes, it was 2 urinals, and then there was the toilet, which was a separate door little thingy.
Oh my God, wasn't there a Christian church near the bathroom? Yes, there was like some sort of worship hall. Anyway,
Yes, there was that outside.
in the Ortigas
There was
one.
that outside sink thing, and then it was the
Yeah.
And I would have the strangest encounters of people who would be peeing with me and suddenly striking conversations, or thinking that I wouldn't mind if they suddenly groped me, or instances where they think it's the perfect time to pick someone up. So me being me, I would end up being snarky, and that included stuff like this was during the turn of the millennium.
It was 2012. No, 2012. Not Turn of the Millennium. That's
No,
Vampire.
there was the turn of the millennium one wherein the guy was hitting on me, and I said, even if the world was
It's
ending.
2012. Because Turn of the
I
Millennium is
2012.
Vampire
Right,
Toby.
sorry.
But yeah, Toby was thematic. So he had this whole, even if you were the last man on earth, it would still be no.
There were those guys who just grabbed my thing, and since I was peeing, rather than argue, I decided to continue peeing and turn and face them and go, "Is this what you want?"
So terrible.
There were also those instances wherein I just reminded people that they look like feet and I was not a shoe, or in those really drunken states wherein they'd be hitting on me, and I would simply tell them, "No, you're not him," and I'd walk out. So yeah, it was a lot of that.
Wait, but it reached the point that, especially in the Malate one, where Toby's in the bathroom. Because it was like basically one door for the two
The
cubicles.
sliding door
Yeah, the
thing.
sliding door. So Toby be already in the bathroom, and then someone else goes in, sees Toby, like, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, and backs away and closes the door. And then so people would avoid finding themselves in the bathroom with Toby.
And it's how I preferred it, because most people at that time at that hour would be people who can't stand straight because they had too
Mm.
much to drink, and it gets very messy.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a sanitized version of the bathroom stories. This is gonna be immortalized online. I don't wanna,
Yes.
I don't. Yes. What else? Oh man. So yeah, there was Thailand as well.
We'll segue first and we'll talk about
we've
Thailand.
been to Thailand. We've been to Singapore, and we checked out the bars there as well.
And then Singapore was like, at the time we went, there wasn't like a dedicated drag bar experience, but we attended an event hosted by Riot Drag Show
Yes.
to support a friend of mine who was in as part of the show, and it was interesting.
Mhm.
Definitely a lot more political. I mean, there's
Yes.
a lot of talking by the host drag queen, Becca the Bus.
Mm-hmm.
She was awesome, and then the performances were like, not bad.
Mhm.
But it felt like very early 2000s Malate.
Mhm.
It was like it's drag shows, individual drag shows, and then that was it. And it was okay. Last year we got to go to, because there was a company outing to Thailand, and we went to Mixwell,
Mhm.
because depending on the island that we were on, we weren't in Bangkok.
Yeah.
We were in that other place.
And the reason we went there was there were two bars, and we weren't sure which one to go to.
But the reviews say go to Mixwell.
Yes. So we went there, and then when we arrived, we were like, okay, we're looking at both. I guess we can check that out. But we eventually also picked at the other, but decided not to stay there. Yeah.
Mixwell was interesting. The drag show also felt very early 2000s
Mhm.
Malate. There was a lot more movement. But then it's like they start from this tiny stage in the corner,
And
then
they
make their
perform
way
while
to-
traveling. And
Yeah,
they
yeah.
also had group numbers. They had backup dancers.
Yeah.
Which was interesting.
And they had more activities. They had like these weird, like
Contests.
they'll hang food from the ceiling, and then it becomes this contest to eat it as quickly as possible.
It was very party fare for tourists.
yeah,
And the
yeah.
prize would be a bottle of
It was
alcohol.
pretty fun. Although apparently we had arrived very early, because it reached the point in the night where we had to give up the table because other people had reserved the table, which was fine, because by then we're good.
Yeah.
We're gonna go home.
And it kind of just shows you that any place has its regulars.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And we totally respect those regulars.
Mhm.
And then it was like we just finished our drinks and then we left.
Yeah.
But that was an okay experience.
Quickly, Kenny asks, wait, it was a shared bathroom? Yes, the bathrooms were shared in the sense that there's one door for the large entire space. So it's like a public restroom, basically. But since there's only 2 urinals, it's a very close public restroom.
To be fair, like both government and bed had
Similar.
had cattle trough
Yes.
urinals, which is basically one wide thing, and then you could all pee together and like.
And they had their different varying levels of one would have walls, the other one would have
Bed had an aquarium for a while.
yeah,
But you could see the person peeing in front of you because you're both peeing into
face to face
peeing. Yeah, so that kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Then Obar Malate was like 2 urinals behind one sliding
so
door.
you were beside each other.
Yeah.
Maya asks, there was one in SG.
There are clubs.
Yes, there
but
are.
they're mostly drinky clubs. Like I know I went to there's like Tantric, and then it's this whole complex
Mhm.
near Chinatown, and they're like mostly drinky clubs. It's like 3 shop houses, and then like the downstairs is one club. The one unit beside it is another club. The upstairs is a different style of
Mhm.
club.
And then word to the wise, the Singapore is similar to the US.
they'll
ours.
end early because the licenses to stay open longer are expensive, so
Yeah.
they don't bother.
So don't make the mistake of thinking it's like the Philippines just because it's close to this country. RJ asks, where did we get our shirts? Sadly, the the online store where I got them before doesn't seem to be online anymore.
Yeah,
So
but
I'm
they
not sure
were
if
official
he's
designs by Carlo Vergara.
yeah, and I'm not sure if he has them available elsewhere. Um, yeah. So did we miss anything?
Um,
Bangkok. There is of course Stranger Bar, which I was able to visit when I was there.
you did. I didn't
Yeah.
get to go yet.
It's interesting because it has a second floor with a staircase, and a friend of mine who
And
was
it's funny because I was in Bangkok for a weekend, but then we were so busy with family
yeah, you weren't
stuff.
able to go.
I
You were
couldn't- I
hoping to
couldn't
go, but you were just swamped.
Yeah, and I didn't want to go alone. I didn't feel like it. Only because the language barrier kind of worried me.
Mhm.
Unlike in the U.S., at least everybody speaks English. And then I figured out the public transport system.
Mhm.
Bangkok, I didn't really know.
In my case, I was with my family, but I was able to contact Jaja.
Mm.
So I told her that I could swing by, and she said she was waiting for me. So I decided I'll do it. And I rode a cab, and I was nervous the whole time if I was going to be one of those statistics. But it turned out okay. I remember being still really scared because I went alone, but that I think was part of the experience, being able to just, sink, absorb it and do it. And Jaja made sure that I had a great time there. I do remember also having my remote sense of panic because I did have to go back home to the hotel where my parents were, and I realized I would probably be smelling so much of smoke. But yeah.
And I guess that so there's definitely that the tourist vibe is a kind of a thing. Like so, I feel like Thai bars are a lot more kind of welcoming, open, but they're definitely playing to tourists.
Mhm.
Singapore bars always felt very like I hope you have friends because no one's gonna talk to you because it's like a bunch of friends who have all gone out and they're all just kind of drinking in their corner.
I realize I've also been to a place in Canada.
Because
I was in Toronto for a few
Say that again.
weeks, and the friends I met up with there were my rave friends. So they decided to make sure I had a great night out. I think shrooms were involved at some point. I will not verify or state anything to the facts, but we did visit a number of places, and among them was a stretch of place known as Church Street, which supposedly had gay bars. I don't remember much. I will not state why, but I remember it was a colorful night.
Okay. Then, so coming back home to O, because we haven't we haven't wrapped up our O bar thing. So like, original Ortigas upstairs, and then they moved downstairs.
So that was near the ATMs,
across from the ATMs.
Yeah.
And that was a bigger space, and that's when they first had like a better stage. I think it was the first like really nice stage for the Odivas
with the pincer effect, so it could cover those.
Yeah, it had wings. Oh my god, it felt very theater. And then it had its first VIP area on the left. And that was interesting.
Yeah, because
then
it had an actual fenced out area.
Oh, and then that was the first time the DJ got shunted like way above. Right, because the DJ booth was above. No, sorry. Even in the older or bar, the DJ was above.
Yes,
because there's space. Oh, we didn't talk about the cages, the pseudo cages in the first Ortigas, which was fun.
So there were those second floor cages where the dancers would be at.
Basically, it's a ledge with a guy with a bar.
And some of the divas used them for their shows as well.
Yes.
So we had a lot of I can't remember the name of the song, but they were like there in the upper part ledge waving while singing, and the others would be the other ledge waving as well.
And moving to the tables on the far right. But then the ledge dancers would also be there, of course, during in between sets. And depending on the time of the night and how ferociously your ledge dancer would dance, if you are in the table below that one, it would rain. And Toby's original table at Ortigas was the one behind the one under the cage at the back of the bar.
It was far enough from anyone, so I did not feel people would disturb me. But it gave me adequate views of both stages whenever I wanted to. During this point in time, I was going to Obar Ortigas a lot, to the point that the owners realized that I was there a lot and alone. So they were like, "Hey, you're always here. Why don't you start, look for us next time you're here so you're not alone." And that was the start of a good friendship. But the new Ortigas,
The
sorry,
current
the
one.
second one, the
Ah.
second Ortigas was interesting as well because it it had that club entrance feel.
Oh, the pink door.
Yeah,
Super nice.
Because as you go in and then you go deep in and then you start to see the
Yeah.
bar unfold in front of you with the
Yeah,
DJ up there.
Because there was the glitter hallway
Yes.
of the same material that Letek would make outfits out
that
of.
was a nice experience. It felt very very special.
It was a nice like the coming in experience
Mhm.
was always fun, and then
And it had that tunnel to party.
yes, Chakwa.
Interestingly, that place also had the second exit, which was the back exit, which was used usually by the staff and eventually the smoking area when they were no longer allowing smoking
Oh
inside.
yeah! Oh my gosh, I forgot about that. That
Mhm.
opened up to the other row of restaurants,
Yes.
and then like we had Pride events there, and they would make an outdoor performance area.
Mhm.
Oh wow! I almost forgot about that. I have
Eventually,
pictures.
Obar had to move again, and that became their own standalone place, which was just intense. I mean, I remember the first time we were allowed to see it. Well, I was allowed to see it.
Toby got to see it while it was under construction.
Yeah,
okay?
and no, we
one drunken night they walk over.
we head there. I remember JR was in heels. One of the first times I saw him in heels at that time.
Oh my gosh, mine hasn't been to the new O.
Yes,
The current O.
so many things we have to make up for. But I remember we went there, and as we arrived, we were like, "Wait, no," and they were like, "Yes." And then we were like going in, and we are like, "Whoa," because it was huge, and
It is.
there wasn't a ceiling then. The walls weren't up then. But I remember we took some photos, and we were like, this is gonna be awesome. And finally, when it opened, man, that was just impressive.
Oh man, that opening month it was still warm because not all the air cons were online.
And the ceiling was so high.
The ceiling was super high, so it was so hard to cool the place.
Mhm.
It had, and then that's when they did the full second level just for the performances. Way more VIP areas.
Yes. Then you had those awesome, really tall display areas for the posters that they would eventually have. You had the second floor ledge on the stage.
You see past tense. Have. It's there. It's still there.
Oh yeah. And then, it was just such an awesome place. It made you think of those movies where the party would be they'd be having these huge parties in these huge venues, and Obar delivered because it was doing those kind of parties. It didn't resort to parties that were outlandish, but instead it held outlandish nights that you could still go home not necessarily drenched in soap or in destroyed clothes, but you still had such a fantastic time.
And I think the growth of the space has been interesting, only because, you have your second level, sure, but then the drag queens took a while to figure out how they wanted to use this extra space more, and then they really worked on their group choreo, and then oh my gosh, the numbers got very theater level. And then the little things like when they start to incorporate the VIP areas on the side, then how would they do that? They kind of played more.
They found ways to use those as side stages.
And then really going all around.
Yes. Even to the point that there were shows directly behind you because they're now using that the second level as a makeshift stage. But then while they're doing that in a very professional way, they're already preparing stuff in the other location. So the moment you turn, bam, it's a surprise. It's something new.
Then I got shocked when we installed those fireworks sprinkler things, because then for big event nights, and suddenly the stage has sparkling stuff all over the
You
place.
had confetti cannons. You had all the lasers and the automated lighting.
Oh my god! And then I always feel like you can tell a regular, or at least someone who's been to O, versus someone who has it during a big event night, when right before the confetti cannons go out, then you'll see the regulars cover their glasses with their hands because they know that
we know it's coming.
It's gonna happen,
and we don't want our drinks to be hit.
It's
And the other thing would be regulars would be the only ones who'd go bagong ilaw yan. Because no one else realizes there's a new spotlight or there's a new
or there's a
Cyclone.
disco ball that was placed in a
Yes.
different place. Like there's a new spot. Yeah. So and these are the conversations we have with friends. Like, oh my god, did you notice there's a new laser
Mhm.
at the corner? And then we'll just stare at it for a while and like
Or
look at the pattern.
or like those moments wherein so one of the owners, for example, look at us mischievously and then hand us a small remote control.
Oh my
And then we
god.
get to fiddle with the lights, or we get, oh my gosh.
Or even the just changing of the decor, and then
Mhm.
you're like, oh, I see we're in the new season, and then decorations have changed.
Which is, of course, followed always by, so is it nice?
Oh my god.
And then we know we have to be honest.
Honest, but polite,
Mhm.
because I don't want to get thrown out. We always do that. Ang bagong ilaw or fog machine remark. The blowers, the fans,
Yes.
and then I think started really to panic when like, wait, there's a pulley system that's been installed
Mhm.
so they can do aerial stuff. I'm like, are we really ready for this? There's no safety. There's no safety net.
Yeah, and then they have, of course, unlike other places, been moving forward. Restrooms start to become unisexual. They're still dedicated, supposedly, men's room and ladies' room, but it's really more anyone can use what as long as you're comfortable. The waiters are also much more prepared
I
to
miss
guide
the
people.
staff. I
Yeah.
miss the staff. And the food. Yeah. So beyond that, I think the only other queer space adventures we have were a couple of pride marches. We've marched in Malate. We've marched in QC a few times.
Well, there were a few bathhouses. We didn't go to bathhouses.
I have no, but yeah, I can't say that from personal experience.
Yeah.
So I've been curious, but at the same time terrified.
I know I've had a few. I'm outside the bathhouse waiting for friends, and I'm like, okay.
Is this QC? Is this QC? I know it's QC.
There were, of course, massage parlors and
Yeah.
the occasional spa, which had its own set of adventures. Admittedly, I like the spas for the massages and the good food, and that really freaked out a lot
we
of my
haven't
other gay
gone-
friends.
Well, we haven't. I mean, we haven't had a really nice, like, I don't know, deliberately, I don't know, nice queer experience massage place. I mean, when you say queer, then it's probably just going to mean dirty stuff,
Mhm.
but not like a nice. Dare I use the Singaporean term atas? Fancy.
I mean, oddly, we did have interesting hot tub bathhouse. No, not bathhouse, but hot tub spa massage moments. But they were with straight friends.
Yeah, and it's not, and those weren't queer spaces.
Yeah.
To follow the subject of this
Yeah.
video, they were just spaces. So probably not in that list. But yeah, but for us, especially as we've gotten older and very set in our ways, then we're always going to go back to O-Bar because I've outgrown just wanting to go to a club to dance.
Yes.
So I definitely want something to happen, and I now no longer feel okay when there isn't a drag show. So I want a drag show when I go
Agreed.
out. It's something to talk about. It's something to celebrate. It's something for me to photo document. So I've gotten very big on photo documentation of going out.
And then I
in
guess
recent years.
the idea of drinking has always been one that's fun to do with friends and not to get drunk. Which
Yeah,
I think
so we
is one of those
barely-
big turning points.
That's why we barely drunk during this quarantine because it's
Okay.
it's a thing.
So RJ asks, why Uber over Nectar? My answer to that is simply because it's Uber.
Yeah, well, I guess and you can say that it's where our friends are.
Mhm.
And then and it's ironic because we live essentially down the street from Nectar, and I'm okay. I mean, Nectar will always feel like it's aligned in the world of. It's more like what Bed when I used to go to, which was fun for the age and the time, but it's not what I'm looking for. And then plus Omar's just bigger. Bigger and a little more comfortable. Then I don't have to worry about stuff. And then it's hard to go to a new bar already at this point because then I'm gonna have to figure out table rules again. Then I have to figure out
No, maybe they
space.
don't have table rules. Maybe
There's
they
still
don't.
tables. Okay.
Me, Rocky's being nice because Rocky's giving logical reasons. Me, my reasons will remain unspoken, but objectively
It already
speaking,
says a lot.
I would still rather not go, knowing what I know.
Oh, RJ asking how old are we? 38.
40s.
Job says Obar is friendlier. Oh, that's nice. But I get that. I get that.
Yeah.
Because okay, and let me explain my reason. As a person who used to go to bed and was kind of convinced by the ambient culture at the time that then just go to bed. You only go to bed. You never think about other places to go. And so Obar was like, really, you're going to Obar? That kind of you get reactions like that from some friends.
Mhm.
So I feel like that same circle of people are still like the nectar people, which is okay if that's their thing. That's fine. But I've definitely grown out of that, and I don't want to just go there. So I'd rather make the trek from BGC over to Ortigas and go to O because I know I'm going to have a great night. My friends are there. There's food. There's good food. And the drag shows are going to be out of this world because I'm sorry. And I think I can say we wanted to bring in our stories of other countries only to be able to come back home and say that the stuff that we experience at Obar is still some of the best drag we've seen thus far.
Yes, that's true. And some people like playing the rivalry game or the stories of go here or there, and ultimately, you're always free to go where you feel you're comfortable. You're always free to celebrate the places you find to be your second home. What we love doesn't have to in any way affect how much you love the places you go to. But if us talking about the places we love make you now curious to check out the places we love, then you're more than welcome to swing by and check it out once it's open again.
Once it's open. And thus, I don't know, then our super love for O has reached the point that we always tell people like, the first, if for your first time there, if we're there, we'll invite you over and we'll try to entertain you and make sure you have a good night.
So it's not about spilling tea or anything like that. It's just really, it's not our place.
Yeah, I just like spilled the tea about that. We have no tea to spill because we've never gone.
And we never will. But yeah, it still boils down to how you want to actually spend your night. That's so true, Joba. Some people will find Obar annoying because it's all these shows. Why doesn't it stop? When do we dance?
Yeah,
and that's a valid point. Some people want to go somewhere to dance. Other people might complain that the place is frustrating because it takes so long to get your order, and that does happen. It happens when a place is filled with people. So,
because Saturday nights are always super crazy,
and even we have days that we don't go to the bar, to O-Bar, because it's too crowded for what we're comfortable with.
Yep.
So it's not a question of a place being better than the other one. It's just a question of...
It's a different flavor. It's a different experience. So you go where you're happy. Right? Right.
And hopefully, in the coming years, we will discover more local queer scenes. I know that there were, at least, I don't know because of COVID, but there were attempts to open different flavors of bars. I know there was an attempt at a bear bar.
Really? Did that ever get off the ground?
Well,
I never heard.
I know there were attempts.
There were plans. I know there were events.
And with the growing numbers of people who identify as such in social media and the like, you would think that could have, rolled into much more awesome experiences that more people can try checking out.
Maya's like, Diva shows was the reason I took a foreigner friend to O. Hey, totally. I've brought call center clients to O.
Yeah. I'm still surprised that I have encountered people abroad who have been to O.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh my God, I was there once. I don't know when I'll be able to go again. And
okay, we're super overtime. We're supposed to have a game. Wait, I wanted to throw in a few more stories. Okay. us as okay, we tend to get we're lucky when we get to sit near the owners.
Mhm.
Okay, the owners have their section up front, and then there are two tables behind. So if we're lucky, we get to share one of those tables.
Mhm.
And normally it shares. Like someone will take the front, the other will take the
I
back.
mean, the regular crew tends to really share it with each other.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
we all like to see each other.
But I feel like more often than not, we babysit people. We either babysit people for the owners, so it'll be like, hey, this is blah blah blah, a relative, friend, whatever, visiting from the U.S.
First time here.
First time here, or it's just someone that wandered in and like it's their first time here. Is it okay if they sit with you?
Mhm.
And then of course we'll always be like, sure, no problem, and then we keep entertaining people this way.
Mhm.
Like I like some of the last recent one was like that the gay couple who just got married or something.
Yes.
And then they were from Hawaii.
They just got married, and I think it was a few days after their wedding. So they're here for their honeymoon, and they just happened to hear about the bar. So they wanted to check it out, and yeah, sure, we'll keep you company. So yeah, that was cool.
Or on the flip side, in the course of the night, and then there will be these groups that end up putting their drinks on the table and sometimes ask Toby for permission, sometimes not. But then finally they make the conversation and make amends, and then we turn and entertain them. And then you have things like the necklace story from the
Mhm.
other time, where that whole other group again it was a pseudo bridal shower type
Mhm.
experience, about to get married and then stuff. So yeah, we have a weird knack tendency, or I don't know if it's already a rep for entertaining
Mhm.
people.
I mean, we've also spotted people who are obviously new. You'd have there were those instances wherein there'd be like a single person or just two people, and they're at awe with everything.
Yes.
The moment the lights go on, oh my god, the lights! And the moment the smoke machine, oh my god, my smoke machine! So you definitely know that they're new, and you could see how they're very also intimidated in the sense of they don't know where they can go, so they're just happy to be together.
Yeah, they're
looking
you know
around.
they're the island of people,
Yeah.
but then they're like their phones are up like crazy because they're taking video.
So
of the show.
that's when we're like, hey, you could sit here. It's okay. You can join us, and then we'll start talking to them and find out, how they heard about the place.
And then we always tell the owners at some point, like, hey, it's their first time here,
Mhm.
which is a trap, because if it's your first time there,
You
you're
will
gonna get a shot at tequila.
It's the welcome drink.
And we always warn them, you have to take the drink. You have to take the drink. It's only polite. It's rude to not take the drink. I don't care if you don't drink, take the one drink. And then
Yeah, but it's a nice way that we connect with the people that are there, even with total strangers. And it's interesting sometimes because you do sometimes see some of them with their own groups. And you're like,
yeah.
oh, I gotta
And then
remember.
we feel so proud, like, oh, they're getting their own tables now.
Or like they'll pass by and say hi, and we're like, oh, you with anyone? No, I have a table. And we're like, oh, you have a table. Okay.
Or we bump into them in the smoking area
Yeah.
outside, or it's a whole little family, and I
Mhm.
love that. I love that, and I miss that so much. But yeah, so I think that still stands. I mean, like we're not gonna treat everyone and their dog
Mhm.
to get the O bar, but do say hi. Should once the bars reopen and we all get to go and you see us there, feel free to say hi. We would love to meet more people who have been watching this strange little blog experiment. Ladies and gentlemen, we're almost at episode 50. What the heck, right?
They even shared the personal. Oh, what happened with me and Edward?
On the
On the-
first night.
on the
Except we
first
got
night.
more shots whenever he got us to kiss. Yeah, see, tequila flows freely, especially in our area.
So yeah, it's
It's been tough because like this is the first year where like we didn't get to celebrate our birthdays there.
Mm-hmm.
Normally we'd celebrate birthdays there, and it's not even like always a big celebration. We've gone on like Thursday nights and like we're trying to celebrate.
yeah, and I will admit that there is that fear of how much things have changed by the time we can all step out again and celebrate.
Yeah, because you know
And,
it's still going to have some sort of minimum health standards that we have to follow.
and even if, let's say, the vaccine and miraculously it's shared overnight and we're all cured immediately and there's the virus is completely destroyed and the very next week it's back to normal. Let's say that happens. There's still that part of me that feels some of the performers might not be able to come back because they now have new commitments or they've now had to make adjustments.
Yeah,
I mean,
some of the staff.
Yeah,
I mean, like,
there's that fear that there are things that have been irrevocably changed. I know that there are some friends who have had to go back to the province.
yeah.
We don't know if they'll still come back because they haven't really had a job here for 6 months now. So
We're seeing members of the staff like moving on to take on other whatever jobs they can, because and that's understandable because they have to continue to provide for their families.
everyone is finding ways to make means, and
What a heavy ending.
the idea of how much has changed is terrifying. But I guess on a lighter note, we should also embrace the possibility that we have then also, I guess, a newfound appreciation of what we lost. And,
Yeah.
Um,
That's why I feel like it's the same thing. Like, in order to talk about our peer spaces here, we thought it would be helpful to talk about our experiences overseas. Because every time we have gone to bars in other countries, we just want to go home.
mhm.
And home is home.
And in this case, once we finally get to see each other more, um, I guess we will now really value these moments when we get to hang out.
Super hugging all of you. I am warning you now. I have no shame. I'm going to be like,
Mhm.
very tight hugs to greet friends the next time we all see each other.
And for those who might want to get a glimpse of what OBAR is like,
Yay.
OBAR has an event officially tomorrow or later. No, tomorrow. It's the time.
Tomorrow.
Um,
24 hours from
yeah.
now.
So by the time of this recording, it is tomorrow. But it's basically the 3rd of October. You can get your tickets online. Their official site has the links necessary. But
Their-
it's a
their
way to
official
support
Facebook
your
page.
queens.
Yeah, it's a sponsored event. It's like Bacardi is involved. So,
Mhm.
ooh, it's not a party without Bacardi. or so the marketing people always remind us.
And I guess we will have a room
What do you mean?
to just hang out with people online tomorrow. I'm not sure if it's separate from maybe after the event or maybe what, but
Oh, yeah, we'll see. It depends. Will they be? Sorry,
will they be on the OBAR site? We're not sure yet. We think so. We're not really sure.
I
We'll
don't
find
know.
out.
I don't think they're going to be on site because they've only listed that Precious entering and Anita, who is also JR, will be performing, and then they have Jeb as DJ.
Yeah, so we'll find out.
It's
all
only
conditions.
like it's only 10 to 2, 10 to 12, so it's a 2 hour event.
Mhm.
It's only $130 to get into the Zoom invite. We both registered, even though we're gonna watch from one computer,
Yeah.
and that's fine because we want to support.
Yes.
So
hope that you will support it too.
oh my God, Mai's like, no, they're there. I appreciate how you have been super supportive.
You
of
are
some
you
of the
are
queens.
super.
You're a supporter.
Yeah.
Ah! Oh, because during went online. Oh my God, so they're gonna be at the bar. Oh my God, that's super exciting.
Well, we'll wait and see.
We'll see. It's a Zoom thing. We hope to see you there. And I think we'll still have a show tomorrow. I don't know.
We'll see.
We might be getting ready for the event. You know, we gotta dress up. Maybe I should cut my hair into an even shorter version of this.
But that was practically 90 minutes or so. Do you think queer people from younger generations will change the queer scene in the future? Absolutely.
Every generation defines what they want.
Yes. And
It's like Future, because earlier, like Jobo and Facebook mentioned that Future never identified
Mhm.
itself as a queer space, but it just so happened that queer
lot of
people went
yeah.
and made it their space.
Yes.
So same thing. That's how people define where they want to go. It's like 10 years ago, everybody said that Malate is Malate is Malate. We're never going to leave Malate.
And even back then, there was already statements that Nakpil Orosa Malate was not the same as Old Malate.
Oh yeah, which is like Rotonda, Penguin, whatnot.
Yes.
And then things like we cite examples like government tried, but then in the end everybody went back to Malate.
Mhm.
But
And
then
then-
now, sorry,
and then
Malate is a
and then
Korean
when
space.
and then when Obar moved to Ortigas, they were saying, "Oh no, we will never move."
It's
But
not
now
going to work.
everyone really moved as well.
So yeah, every generation will kind of figure that direction out, and then at the same time, sorry, this whole pandemic thing, it's totally changing the landscape and the environment. So I'm sure
given
what the queer spaces will be like next year will be
Yeah.
totally different.
given the lockdowns and stuff, I wouldn't even be surprised if we start having speakeasies come back.
Oh, maybe.
Because the desperate need for socialization, for connection, and for just a great time having alcohol and music and performances will demand such spaces to be born.
There
and
is
yes,
that.
it will be a crime.
Yeah, I mean,
And
it's
yes,
like
it will be illegal.
it'll be a risk against social distancing and all
But-
that.
but I don't think we will survive without such spaces being reborn.
yeah, there's a quote that keeps going around that you know that the longer the lockdowns continue, the more likely that people are just gonna say screw it.
Mhm.
You know, we've been
The
we've been
fatigue.
stressed too long. It's quarantine fatigue, and people are just gonna do what they want to do.
And ultimately, gay people are the ones who are sick and tired of living in fear. We will party
Whoa.
one way or another.
They're also sick and tired of living with their parents
Yes.
and family and not being able to be themselves.
Aha! Someone already confirmed. I can confirm speakeasies. Yes, but not in a pandemic sense. Or are you confirming that they exist already? Don't say more because we can probably save that for a future episode.
If we ever decide to go. If it's not Obar running the speakeasy, are we gonna go? I don't think we're gonna go.
But if Obar does run one, I don't think we'll tell people because it's going to be for those invited only.
If Obar had a speakeasy, of course you couldn't tell you because there's no such thing. Right?
That's all the time we have for now. We spent over 30 minutes, definitely over 30 minutes, and we had a lot of fun. We hope you'll join us again next time.
Yeah. Wow, where are my caption things? Yeah, if you have questions or suggestions for future topics for episodes, let us know. If you need, well, can we not do full episodes on the hanky code or other artifacts of gay history? Look it up on Wikipedia. We're not going to answer that. We already segued into that lecture today. You can follow us on Twitter, Alto Vino Shade, RG Sunico.
You can also check out our blog, that's baduypride.com. We have all the previous episodes and stuff about us.
And then last chat rather. It's like, what's this? David, I feel attacked by that call out. I don't know what you're trying to say. And then RJ, what are your thoughts on gay dating apps?
That could be a possible
Make that a topic. Throw that into the suggestion form.
Show the link again, just so that he knows where he can send it in.
Oh yeah, so
There.
yeah, you can fill that in. Lockdown's gonna stop you from adapting. Yes, heart. Okay, class dismissed. Make quiz kaya only for you, Kenny. Now you're gonna have to answer that hanky code question. Okay. Feel free to continue the conversation in the comment below. Let us know what your experiences have been like in local queer spaces. We never even mentioned we've been to Butterfly Bar. Remember? Yeah. So we've been around.
And a few bars along Aurora.
Oh, well, we don't talk about that.
Yes.
And then be sure to subscribe for notifications, whether on Facebook or YouTube, so you don't miss our next live stream. Once again, I am Rocky.
And I'm Toby.
And this is Baduy Pride. Wow, that's a long one. Okay, we're going to
Thanks
game
for
now.
watching, everyone.
Thank you so much. Have a great Friday.
And see you again soon.